Okay, brilliant. So we've never done silent disco before, so this is all new to me. So give us a shout if you can't hear us or if anything goes wrong. But welcome to the panel. My name is Leanne Johnston, and I am the founder and CEO of Affiliate Insider. We're an agency and a media portal, and we're here today to talk about performance marketing. And joining me to my left are these lovely ladies, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, starting with you.
Is this mic on? Yeah, it is. Hi everyone, I'm Sophie. So today I'm representing Global Savings Group. So we're a tech-driven shopping rewards company. So my team in the UK build brand partnerships on behalf of the Daily Mail and the Metro. So we're best known for codes and deals, but we offer a wide variety of content solutions. So we also do influencer campaigns, newsletters, social ads, and much more products than that. So yeah, excited to be here.
And I'm Jess, so I am the Director of Publisher Development at CJ. So CJ is a network, and so we work really closely with publishers like Global Savings Group and provide that bridging gap to retailers, and Michelle will introduce herself in a second, so that we can obviously monetize and capture data and track transactions all the way through to the point of sale. So yeah, CJ Network.
And my name is Michelle, and I'm from Brand Alley. So Brand Alley is the UK's largest flash sales website. So we cover fashion, beauty, homeware, loads of different things like that. And we obviously work with affiliates. We work really closely with the guys here. We're on CJ, that's our affiliate network, and we do quite a lot of work with GSG. So yeah, we'll be chatting about that.
Really great panel. So before we get started, we just wanted to check in the audience who's a publisher and who's an advertiser today. So publishers, stick your hands up. Okie dokie. Good. Okay, thanks so much. So I'm going to start the conversation with our first question, which is, what is performance marketing and why should publishers be thinking about this commercial model as a key growth area for their revenue goals this year? I'm probably going to start with you, Jess.
For me, so CJ as a network, we're the global leaders. And so we kind of provide that tracking technology where publishers can sign up for free. And it's the retailers that actually join CJ and they decide on the tagging system that they have. So we have 3, either server to server, batch, or pixel implementation. So with that technology, you can then decide how to actually pay on a call to action. And that's the real key benefit about the performance channel, that you're paying, you're getting this high quality traffic that is driven to your site from publishers such as Global Savings Group to the likes of Brand Alley, but Brand Alley will only pay on that call to action. And that could be on a CPA basis, which is a percentage of a sale. So it's kind of like an online commission, that I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jess has pretty much covered exactly what I was going to say there. But yeah, like I say, we partner with the Daily Mail and the Metro, so we work closely with Michelle's team at Brand Alley. So we will promote, for example, if Brand Alley have a specific deal on, which they often have really good deals on, they might buy a banner on our website, or they might buy any range of our products. We'll work with them to build a bespoke package and they might give us a CPA increase, and we would make sure that we promote their brand as much as we can. And then the user would come to our site, click through to Brand Alley, and then the cookie would drop using CJ's amazing tracking technology, and then we would then receive the commission for the sale. So I guess the main point and the reason why it's such a great industry, in my opinion, is because it really is. We do have a common goal, so we are all looking to drive those sales for the retailer.
Yeah, and just to follow on from what the girls have said, so for us, from like the Brand Alley side of things, because we work across so many different categories, we're constantly, as the girls have said, we've got different types of sales on all the time and different types of brands that we work with. So we're constantly talking to different audiences. So that's what, when Sophie mentioned about the bespoke packages, like we can kind of go, okay, look, this is what we've got coming up for Black Friday or Christmas, or these are some really key brands that we're working with. What can you do to, really build a specific package so you can focus on the right customer for them? So we're not just putting out a blanket, this is what we're hoping to do with the Brand Alley customer. We can really target it down, which is really, really key for us.
So the key things that I've taken away from that is, first of all, there's the data that is in real time in most instances, and it is, you can use it for seasonality for different types of events. But then there's also the longevity of the payment model, which is the pay on performance model, which is really, really interesting, and why a lot of publishers are thinking about working in this way. So I want to talk a little bit about the why now. So why publishers work closer with brands and vice versa to drive incremental value in the performance model. And I know that we've got a slide that CJ has kindly given us, which hopefully they'll flick onto the screen, which just talks about some of those numbers. So Jess, if you can talk through some of those stats that you guys have collected and just share with the audience today the why behind performance.
Absolutely. So at CJ, we created a white paper, which you can scan the QR code in the top right to download. We had 2 test groups. One group that does not know anything about affiliate marketing. So you think your day-to-day where you're browsing the web and you click on these links and you click on these banners, but you don't actually realize that you're being driven through an affiliate link because it's going to be rewarded and the brand are paying the commission to the publisher. So then we had another group, a control group, that obviously know about affiliate marketing, and these are your savvy shoppers. They're the ones that know about voucher, cashback, and they're trying to find the best deal on the market for Brandally, for whatever brand's out there. So some of the stats that we definitely want to see is incremental value. So we are seeing shoppers that are spending more on sales. So not only are we driving those new customers to your brand, but we're also ensuring that they are spending, a good volume of their AOV, because they're, the hardest thing sometimes in this world that we live in is actually driving that customer through to that site and making sure that they stay engaged on the site. So that's some of the figures that we pulled out from the white paper, which is available as well after.
So just scan the QR code if you didn't hear that. What about from your perspective?
Yeah, so from my perspective, this is incrementality, as it's often called. I'm not sure if it's actually a real word. But incremental value is something from the publisher side, is a really hot topic from us, especially as we are discount code publisher, or that's how we're best known anyway. So we're constantly sort of under the microscope in terms of where our incremental value is. There's a bit of a misconception that we might steal the last click. So I think from our side, we need to make sure we're offering a really broad range of products. So we're offering content solutions, influencer campaigns, newsletters, social ads, etc. And that means that we can work with brands like Brandally, and we can build a really bespoke package just tailored to those KPIs. But I think in terms of what I would really like to see more of from a publisher side is more guidance from brands on what exactly incremental value means for them, because it is actually quite a subjective concept in a lot of ways. So is it just getting return on investment? Is it driving new customers? Are you wanting to over-index in a certain customer type? There's so many different dynamics to it, and I think the key thing in affiliates is making sure that's communicated from both sides, and also making sure the publishers especially know what good means to your brand and what good performance will look like for you.
I think that's quite important, and maybe I'm going to come on to you next, but affiliates aren't only just for acquisition anymore, and maybe that's something that you can talk about from your perspective, Michelle.
Yeah, sure. So as mentioned with Brandally, we speak to so many different types of customers, and the overall Brandally customer, she's quite a savvy shopper anyway. We do sell quite a lot of high-end products, and they're on discount, but she's still kind of searching for, like, how is she getting the best deal? And that's not always how is it the most discounted deal. It's, how am I being rewarded for this? Is the best place? Is Brandally the best place for me to go to buy this? So I think it's something like 3/4 of online shoppers now will visit 3 or 4 non-retail sites before they check out. So that's why it's so important for us to work with an affiliate network to make sure that we're in front of our desired customer at the right time, in the right place, so that when they do come to us and check out, they have the confidence in doing that, and they get that from visiting these other platforms.
Yeah. So as the majority of you are publishers in this audience, which we asked in the beginning, but a whole bunch of new people came in, so hopefully you're also publishers. Let's talk about the kind of nitty-gritty in terms of what do publishers need to consider and think about before they hop into the performance model. And maybe I can start with you, Sophie.
Yeah, so I think from my side, the key point is that it's definitely a long-term commitment. You can't just invest a big chunk of commission or tenancy. Tenancy is what we call a fixed fee payment, and ensure that you're going to get your return. It really is about testing and learning and finding out what works for you in line with whatever your KPIs might be. And then I guess the second point is to utilize sort of the community of affiliates, and that all centers around the networks like CJ. So they have these amazing 360 tracking technologies, which means we're all, the brand, the publisher, the network, we're all looking at the same data. So it means it creates this hub where we can all discuss what's going on, what went well, what didn't go so well. We can see pretty much the whole user journey, so we can really take learnings from it and be a bit of we like to think of ourselves as an extension of brands, because we really are supporting them in driving sales or whatever they're wanting to achieve. So I think that's the key point from my side.
Yeah, I love that.
And I guess to add on to that, it's what we were speaking about earlier, it's the talent. So I kind of did a degree in natural sciences, and I've ended up in affiliate marketing, which is not, the angle that I was going to go down originally. But once it's very niche, and so you really need to have that kind of expertise to understand everything from GDPR, cookie tracking, the changes that are happening in the industry, and customer behavior. Because it really, when it comes to marketing, if you know who your customers are and you know where they are, then you can obviously find lookalike profiles based on those customers that you already have. And it's changed from, going in store, which can't do, mostly people are like, I'm just going to stay at home and I'm going to browse on my iPad. And so then it's trying to make sure that we have that shift and that we're moving with the industry. And like Global Savings Group, you've done so much change from vouchers to Best Buys that you're doing with content. You've completely rechanged the layout of the Metro and and the Daily Mail as well, so that you can start perfecting that user journey. So you can say, look, if they land on the site or if they're even reading the content articles, we want them to convert with the likes of Brand Alley.
And from your perspective, Michelle, what are you looking for from publishers when you're actually working with them on a performance model?
Sure. So a key thing for us is that our publishers and the platform that we're on understand what our objectives are, and especially for somewhere like Brand Alley, we're quite unique in how we operate. So we're a closed website, which means you have to sign up to shop the site. So for us, it's all about driving new customers, but also about driving new members, which isn't kind of the standard. So we really need our publishers to understand that. That's what we're after. And again, it comes down to we really understand who our customer is. And the way Brand Alley works too, we're in the UK and we're in France, and the Brand Alley customer in both territories is entirely different. So we've done a lot with GSG, and we started with GSG in 2019, I think, in May, and we did a really just basic general package to start with. And since then we've built on that, and we've developed it, and we've tested and learned. We've gone, okay, maybe this worked in the UK, but it's not quite working in France. What can we do to make that work? So we need, as I think Sophie said about we need an extension of our team. So we don't want to be oh, this is what we think will work, try it. We need that kind of back and forth of, the recommendations coming from the publisher going, okay, we understand more about your customer now. Let's try this. Let's tweak it this way. So that's really key for us, is that we just have that relationship and that back and forth, and that just the feeling that the publisher is trying to understand what we're after and trying to help us achieve that goal.
Okay, so what I'm picking up from there is, before you jump into the performance model, A, you need to understand your data. B, you need to make sure that you've got talent in place to actually do the change from a kind of media kit style of monetizing your website through to a performance-based style. B, you need to have the time to invest. So you really need to think about whether this is the right time for your publishing business to swap over to a performance model. And C, you need to have open relationships. So really good account management, I think, in terms of managing the kind of to and fro, but then also making sure that you've got the tech stack in between to make this relationship work. So does that sum it up correct? Okay,
Definitely.
great. So we've spoken about some of the pitfalls about moving into a performance-based model. Let's talk about, and this is really our last question before we open up to audience questions, which we're happy to take. Why is now a good time to consider the way partnerships should work, and how can you utilize technology to drive these relationships and benefit your publisher business model?
I think one word is scale. So since the pandemic, you've been forced, and we've seen a huge influx of growth within e-commerce. So a lot of bricks and mortar, they probably didn't have the website, and it's that kind of learning. So with CJ, you can tap into over 3,800 brands on the network. And as a publisher, you'll think, well, that's a quick win, really. If you've got all of those, 4 points that Leanne just mentioned, the talent, the team, the data, the budget, then you know that, right, let's sign up to CJ. It's free to sign up. There's 3 simple steps. And then you can work with partners like, Brand Alley and the other retailers that we've got on board.
So one simple interface to access multiple different brands that you can monetize through the content on your website. And I think it's phenomenal, actually. And there are, a lot of different ways that you can work with different brands. And each brand is going to have a different commercial model. And I actually wanted the two of you to maybe just expand on some of what you said in terms of working with Sophie's team, in terms of what works and what didn't. So how did those commercial models work? Just to give the audience a little bit of insight in terms of the relationship management side.
Sure. So a good example, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, we were working with GSG to do voucher rewards for customers. So when they shopped with us, they could get a 20 quid Uber Eats voucher or a Bloom and Wild voucher or whatever it might be. So we tested that, and it wasn't giving us the performance that we kind of expected from it. So then we came away from that, reevaluated, and said, okay, let's try something different. So it was just that back and forth of, okay, this hasn't quite worked. Everything else has been working really well. Why hasn't this worked? What can we do to improve it? And we did trial it a couple of different ways, and we tried it in the UK and then tried it slightly different in France, and it just wasn't working for us. So we moved away from it entirely, and we went with bespoke codes, and that just took off for us. So you really do have to do these trials and errors, and if it doesn't work the first time, it doesn't mean that it's not going to work. You just kind of have to keep tweaking at it, maybe go back to it 6 months later and try, because the customer that you have in front of you is constantly changing. And obviously now, since we've gone, since everyone was forced online really in 2020, the whole landscape has changed entirely. And another point I just wanted to make on that, there isn't customer loyalty anymore really now, because everyone is shopping online. All the retailers are also now online, so you can't kind of rely on your old way of working. So that's why performance marketing is a really, really good way to adapt and change your position on where you are with your marketing.
I love that, because it ties back to the point that I made earlier, where affiliates are not only for acquisition, they're also for brand building. So as a publisher, you need to be thinking about how do you leverage your community, your social, your on-site. How do you actually help to build brand awareness and be part of that customer buyer journey and that buyer awareness funnel? And that's something that CJ can talk to, because you've done a lot of research into that buyer awareness journey and how that behavior works. So maybe you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are constantly looking at the data within our network. So we capture over 15 billion worth of sales. So you can think that that's, truly big data. And the way that we've got affiliate customer journey. So as a publisher, like Global Savings Group, yes, they are very much voucher-led, but now they're branching into content, which is upper funnel. So we can see that there's 3 stages: the discovery stage, the evaluation stage, and then obviously that kind of conversion. And it's that discovery stage where we're seeing a lot of players within influencer marketing. Everyone's talking about TikTok. There's, new kind of ways to ingest content that then kind of not only are they discovery, but they're also converting those initial consumers. So having all of those touch points and data points, and obviously, like Michelle said, we can then evaluate to say, actually, you may want to start changing the way that you pay and reward these publishers. So you can do a blend, and the blend will be, maybe I look a little bit at that percentage of revenue. So what are my margins? If I'm looking at 10% of my retail revenue, then maybe 10% is a good starting point. But for content, it could be a little bit higher because you're getting that longevity, right? That content stays on site and it'll be reused and repurposed in numerous ways. And so maybe they can pay 20% commission for that content, and it still funnels down all the way through to the conversion, so that's sale. And then you can obviously pick all of those data points and see what truly is best for your business as a publisher and your business as a retailer to get the most out of that data.
And I want to talk a little bit about the performance model and the revenue, because there might be smaller publishers in the audience here that have under 10,000 followers on a social media page, and you were just talking about influencers now. Think about on a paid media metric, you wouldn't actually get a lot of money for exposure on a channel that small. However, if you did an organic post and you were earning revenue based on the number of sales for the lifetime of those sales on certain products, maybe in the retail space, think about the revenue that you would be earning over time for a piece of organic content that's being repurposed. So it's not about immediate revenue, it's about building the longer term scale of that. And maybe you can talk a little bit about how you guys kind of price your models now in terms of the performance model versus paid media.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've got such a broad range now, but I think definitely if I was a publisher starting out, I think it's basically all about really knowing your audience, and also knowing which brands will be well suited to your audience. But on the flip side, how on an advertiser side, it's about trying different publishers. I think it's also the same on a publisher side in terms of trying different advertisers. There's some advertisers we work with which just don't work with our audience, and obviously our audience is the Daily Mail, so it's pretty wide, but even there's limitations of that. So I think it's just sitting down and just being really, really honest with who's going to work for you, both in terms of an advertiser side and what your demographic is. So I think that's what we've tried to do, is really listen to what advertisers want in terms of products, which is why, as Jess was saying earlier, we've tried to really target all areas of the customer journey, because we know that some brands, we work with thousands of brands, and we know that some of them want the more branding awareness pieces, something a bit higher up the funnel, whereas some just want a really high return on investment, so they want the banners on our website, which is going to give them a really high conversion rate. So I think it's just about listening to your brands and listening to your audience and finding what fits for you, I guess.
Yeah, and using the data to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the kind of panel discussion that we had, but we've got a lot of people in the audience. So does anybody have any questions for these lovely ladies? Anybody considering getting into the performance space and maybe not sure if it's right for them? Everybody good? No questions? All right. Thank you so much for coming to this panel. It was lovely having you guys, and thank you very much for sharing all of your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.